Anthropic just made one of the most important AI moves of the year. They built a model so powerful, so capable, and apparently so dangerous in the wrong hands that instead of releasing it broadly, they locked it down. The model is called Claude Mythos Preview, and according to Anthropic, this is not just another step forward. This is a genuine gem. On April 7, Anthropic announced Mythos Preview alongside Project Glasswing, a defensive cybersecurity initiative that gives limited access to major technology and security partners instead of opening the model up to public. Anthropic says they took this route because the model's cyber capabilities have reached a point that could reshape both digital defense and digital offense. So let's break down what Mythos actually is, what it can do, why Anthropic is being unusually cautious, and why this may be one of the clearest signs yet that frontier AI is entering a new phase. So first up, let's talk about benchmark numbers, and these are not normal improvements. Anthropic says Mythos Preview scored 93.9, almost 94% on SWE bench verified, compared with 80.8% from Claude Opus 4.6. On SW Bench Pro, Mythos scored 77.8% versus 53.4% for Opus 4.6. On Humanity's last exam with tools, Mythos reached 64.7% compared to Opus 4.6 reaching 53.1%. Anthropic also says Mythos saturates many of its concrete scored evaluations, which is a striking thing for a frontier lab to push at all. In plain English, this is not a model that has a little improvement. This is a model that starts to make previous generations look old. But the real story here is not math. It's not even coding in the normal sense. It's cybersecurity. In Anthropic's own technical write-up, the company says Mythos Preview was capable of identifying and exploiting zero-day vulnerabilities in every major operating system and every major web browser when directed to do so. Anthropic also says some of these vulnerabilities it found were 10 to 20 years old, and that the oldest disclosed example so far was 27-year-old bug in OpenBSD, which is pretty crazy. The company also says Mythos created sophisticated exploit chains, including one browser exploit that chained together 4 vulnerabilities and escaped both browser and operating system sandbox, which sounds really impressive, at the same time also pretty scary. And here is the part that should make everyone pay attention. Anthropic says this was not limited to elite human red teamers babysitting the model step by step. In its write-up, the company says even engineers without formal security training were able to ask Mythos to find remote code execution vulnerabilities overnight and wake up to working exploits. Anthropic also says that in some cases it built scaffolds that allowed Mythos to turn vulnerabilities into exploits without human intervention. Again, pretty scary stuff. And this totally changes the equation, because once advanced cyber capabilities is no longer bottlenecked by tiny numbers of elite hackers and elite specialists, the balance between attackers and defenders start to shift very fast. Anthropic even provided concrete comparisons to earlier models. In testing around patched Firefox JavaScript engine vulnerabilities, Anthropic says Claude Opus 4.6 only managed to develop working exploits 2 times out of several hundred attempts. Mythos Preview, according to the same write-up, produced working exploits 181 times with register controls on 20 more attempts. This is not an incremental gain. This is a different level of performance. And that's why Anthropic is not treating this like a normal product launch. Instead of saying, here's our newest model, go try it, Anthropic created Project Glasswing, which it describes as an initiative to secure critical software before these capabilities become widespread. The partner list includes Amazon Web Services, Apple, Cisco, CrowdStrike, Google, JP Morgan Chase, the Linux Foundation, Microsoft, NVIDIA, and Palo Alto Networks. Anthropic says it has committed $100 million in model usage credits for the effort, along with additional funding for open source security work. And this is a really huge signal to everyone, because what Anthropic is effectively saying, we think AI-powered cyber offense is becoming real enough and fast enough that the people defending critical infrastructure need a head start right now. Basically, basically they're giving the tools for them to prepare. Anthropic says Mythos Preview has already found thousands of high-severity vulnerabilities, and that over 99% of the vulnerabilities it found have not yet have been patched, which is why the company is still withholding most of the technical details for now. And Anthropic also says it has been in ongoing discussion with the US government officials, which are really great people, about the model's offense and defensive cyber capabilities. Again, really great people to talk to. Now, if that were the whole story, it already sounds like one of the biggest AI developments of the year. But there's another layer here that makes this even more interesting: alignment and safety. Anthropic's risk report says Mythos Preview appears to be the best aligned model it has released to date. But in the same report, Anthropic also says it likely possesses the greatest alignment-related risk of any model it released so far. And the reason behind it is simple. As model becomes more capable, more autonomous, and better at software engineering and cyber tasks, they also become more capable of working around restrictions or obstacles in pursuit of any goal. Anthropic uses a mountaineering analogy, which is, again, really hard word for me to say, mountaineering, to explain this. A highly skilled guide may actually bring you into more dangerous terrain than a novice, and not because the expert is more reckless, but because greater skill opens up more dangerous possibilities. And this is a really revealing analogy because it captures the new reality of the frontier AI. A more aligned system can still create more risk if its capabilities rise faster than the world's ability to control or deploy them safely. The report also says Mythos can sometimes take concerning actions to work around obstacles to task success, and that during development, Anthropic found errors in its training, monitoring, and evaluation setup that it says have since been addressed. So even though Anthropic is presenting Mythos as its most aligned release so far, it is not pretending the risk is theoretical. And that may be the biggest takeaway from the whole announcement and the story. For years, people have argued about AI risk in abstract terms, but this is different because this is a major AI lab publicly saying we build a model that is extraordinarily useful, extraordinarily powerful, and also capable enough in cybersecurity that a normal public rollout would be irresponsible and dangerous. So what does it mean for normal users, founders, and businesses using AI today? You're probably not getting direct access to Mythos Preview anytime soon. Anthropic is calling it an unreleased model and limiting access to a defensive program and specific platforms for approved participants. But the larger message is obvious. The capabilities sitting behind the frontier are moving faster than what most people can see from public chat interfaces. And if Anthropic can build something like this now, other frontier labs are not going to be far behind forever. So the public takeaway is not to panic. It is to prepare. If you build with AI, the models are going to keep getting stronger, but if you run software, security is about to matter even more. And if you still think AI is mostly about writing emails and summarizing PDFs, announcements like this are a reminder that the frontier has already moved far beyond that. So guys, what do you think about this new story and new model? Leave your comments, of course, in the comment section, and don't forget to subscribe for more videos like this. See you next time.